Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, presidential inaugural speech triggers fuel queues. TUC cautions against unilateral decision on subsidy removal. President Tinubu resumes work at Aso Rock Villa, receives briefings from Emefiele Kyari. National Industrial Court okays no work, no pay rule in government's dispute with ASU. And on the foreign scene, 17 civilians killed by extremist rebels in eastern Congo. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. The news in detail. Fuel queues return to filling stations in Abuja following President Bola Tinubu's inaugural speech that hinted fuel subsidy is gone as no provision is made beyond June this year. Kabir Lawal reports that Nigerians are now calling on the new president not to make life difficult for the people. His report.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his inaugural speech on Monday, said subsidy is gone. This prompted filling stations to stop selling, thereby creating long queues in stations belonging to Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited. Abuja residents called for caution in handling the fuel subsidy situation, as any price hike will only worsen an already difficult situation.
The country is not yet ready for this, because before you remove subsidy, I'm sure they're supposed to have made some plans, on the late plans of empowering, especially the youth. There are a lot of people that are not working, even the workers. Imagine someone earning less than 50,000. How can that person cope in this particular situation that we are in? The country is not yet ready.
I'm sure he can do it, and then with the way I know him, he is someone that cannot be easily bended. He is someone that people cannot confuse him anyhow like that. So I believe with his promises, I believe he will fulfill it.
Commuters also expressed fears that the subsidy removal will only make fuel available, but resultant price hike will certainly affect transport fare and price of essential commodities.
It will affect a whole lot of people. It will affect the transportation, because with the low-income earners, it's not too easy for us. Coming from our homes, okay, today I was leaving the house. There was no vehicle. I came today, okay, this is where I work. I want to buy fuel. No fuel. The filling station is closed right now. No fuel. I was able to buy Ajayi, but I had to struggle. People are even fighting. You understand? So we want to know if we can tackle this thing, because apart from the fuel thing, people are hungry. People are starving. People are dying. No, but like, people need help. People are so heavy.
For now, the queues remain and car owners struggle to get fuel, even though the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency have assured Nigerians of availability of the product.
Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Long fuel queues have returned to Kaduna as motorists spend hours to buy petrol. Bello Musa reports that some filling stations are selling as high as 300 naira per litre, as against government's regulated price of 195 naira. The report.
Many filling stations in Kaduna have closed their gates to motorists and therefore not selling fuel. These are the few filling stations dispensing fuel in Kaduna metropolis. The situation also triggered panic buying, with many motorists trooping out to the fuel stations to fill their cars.
The tea is not suitable. Wallahi. As of yesterday, that's fuel, but today we woke up, we will not see fuel again. I still there more than 3 hours. I never see the fuel. We are still on the queue.
Because of the announcement that Mr. President said he removed the fuel subsidy, everywhere fuel becomes scarce and difficult. See, you can imagine how masses are suffering to get fuel, which is wrong. Not because the fuel is not available. Fuel is available everywhere, but intentionally they refuse to sell the fuel.
We are the ones suffering ourselves, it's not the government. As I have said, today is 30th of May. This filling station is selling 210. Can you tell me the first subsidy has been removed? Somebody else is selling 310. It means somebody sold 320. So it means that we are the ones suffering ourselves. It's not the government. It is high time we should be honest to one another.
Some motorists attributed the scarcity to announcement by the government of fuel subsidy removal. However, they are ready to support the removal only if it will benefit Nigerians.
It's a good one if the federal government will be able to do what they promise us. But one thing is that I want them to be able to consider the masses. First, they should consider the masses.
It's a good one, but however, it is ill-timed. I want to believe that they should have allowed the new refinery, the Dangote refinery, to come on board fully, and then before they take out the oil subsidy.
The scarcity resumed after the new President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his inaugural speech admitted that fuel subsidy is not captured in 2023 budget beyond June. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Similarly, scarcity of premium motor spirit on Tuesday hits just the Plateau State capital as the price of the product increased, with motorists and other residents lamenting over the development. Trust TV's Ado Musa, who visited some filling stations in the state, reports that many were closed, with few ones selling the product as prices were above the government-approved price. The report.
The scarcity of the product is a direct response to President Bola Tinubu's pronouncement in his inaugural speech on Monday that the era of fuel subsidy was gone. Even though the president did not outrightly say the subsidy was removed with immediate effect, his pronouncement has already affected the availability and price of the product in the city of Jos. Some black marketers accuse owners of filling stations of hoarding the product to increase the price. We just woke up and discovered that the price of the fuel has been increased. We used to buy a liter of the product at the price of 210 naira, but the price has been increased to 370 naira per liter. When we buy it at that price, we sell a gallon between 2,000 to 2,200 naira. We know that they have hoarded the product. On Tuesday morning, we sold a gallon at the price of 1,400 naira. But when we got back to the filling station, the price has been increased to 350 naira per liter. They are saying that fuel subsidy has been removed, but the product they are selling to us is all stock. We should not be affected by the announcement of Mr. President. Some residents also lament the hike in the price of the fuel, adding that such development can worsen the socio-economic situation in the country, especially now that the cost of living is high. We woke up today with happiness on our faces that we have a new president, only for us to hear that the price of fuel has been increased. Many are not happy with the removal of the subsidy. The price of the product has been increased. I bought a liter of fuel at the rate of 350 naira. We use the product for our daily businesses and for other domestic purposes. So once the price is increased, the price of everything will also increase. This is a serious problem. While blaming marketers for hoarding the product, they however said the new government should be careful not to allow unpatriotic citizens to scuttle economic activities in the country. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Thank you, Ado Musa. Now, in the same vein, National Petroleum Company Limited and the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria differ on fuel subsidy removal announced by President Bola Tinubu. While NNPC Limited welcomes the move, IPMAN insists the removal should be gradual. Chamunda Beng reports.
Following the announcement on the removal of subsidy by President Bola Tinubu, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says it welcomes the subsidy removal, stating that it would free up funds that were otherwise tied up in subsidizing fuel, which according to the group CEO, Mele Kyari, cost the country 400 billion naira on a monthly basis.
We have been funding the subsidy from the cash flow of the NNPC since government is unable to defray the cost of subsidy that is due to the corporation. And we believe that this will free resources for the NNPC to continue to do the great work that this company will do for our country, and it allows us to continue to function as a very commercial entity.
Kyari, however, assured Nigerians of the availability of fuel, advising motorists against panic buying. But Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN Abubakar Megandi, argues that the subsidy removal must be done in phases.
The issue of subsidy removal is a long-term process which they have started almost since last year. And they have been calling us on the issue. We know definitely Nigeria is losing a lot of money on the issue of subsidy. But we tell them if they want to do subsidy, they should do it based on pace. Since we have 3 refineries, let this refinery be functional. Then secondly, Dangote refinery, 2 will assist. So that is the advice that we give them. And then they create some certain palliatives that will cushion the effect of the subsidy.
Fuel queues have now resurfaced at fueling stations, with some stations selling at 600 naira per litre, a situation which Megandi says he is unaware of.
All what I know, as I go around, I have seen there is a lot of queues. People are queuing to see that they source the product, because Mr. President has already announced that they will remove the subsidy. No, normally what people fail to understand is very difficult for a marketer to go and hoard the product. Because if you hoard this product, all those that I have been telling people, you are hoarding your money. And this money is not your money, you carry the loan. And the bank is looking for your turnover. We too, if they remove the subsidy, it has some certain side effect to us. The side effect is we have to increase huge amount of money before we can be able to buy the product. And most of us really rely on the banks to have a loan. And the bank loan now, the charges is almost 26%.
With inflation already at 22.22% and food inflation at 24.61%, Megandi warned that the outright removal of fuel subsidy will push the cost of goods and services beyond the limits of the average Nigerian and push the already 71% misery index in the country. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority says it is working with the NNPC Limited and other stakeholders to guarantee a smooth transition following the removal of fuel subsidy. President Bola Tinubu, in his inaugural speech on Monday, said the fuel subsidy regime has ended with the commencement of his administration. The authority made this known on Tuesday in a statement signed by Kimchi Apollo, General Manager, Corporate Communications, NMDPRA, to address concerns regarding the removal of fuel subsidy. Apollo said the authority is working to avoid disruptions in the supply of petrol, as well as ensure that customers or consumers were not shortchanged in any form. He assured ample supply of PMS to meet demands and that the authority had taken necessary steps to ensure that distribution channels remain uninterrupted and fuel readily available at all filling stations nationwide. Still on fuel subsidy, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has said that President Bola Tinubu cannot solely take the decision to remove subsidy payment on petroleum products in the country. The TUC said that the newly inaugurated president should tarry a while to give room for robust dialogue, consultation, and stakeholders' engagement before making any decision on the delicate matter. The Congress said there are a host of issues that need to be amicably considered and resolved before such a decision can be taken by the president. The NNPCL has since backed Tinubu on the removal of fuel subsidy. Fuel queues have also resurfaced across the country since the presidential pronouncement as Nigerians forage for the premium products. However, the TUC said the president cannot unilaterally take a decision on subsidy removal, saying that there was no reason that the immediate past administration of Muhammadu Buhari pushed the sensitive issue to the new government. President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima have resumed work at State House, Abuja. Both were welcomed to their offices by staff of the State House, even as several challenges await their attention. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Staff of the State House Abuja did not have to wait for days for the resumption of the President and Vice President. The President resumed on Monday, choosing to drive to work, breaking with the custom of his predecessor to stroll down from the residence. The Vice President similarly drove down from Aguda House and was received by personnel from his office. The full blueprint of the Tinubu administration's direction is yet to be unveiled, but a glimpse of his economic priorities has already caused queues to resurface at fuel stations. Vice President Shettima says the issue of subsidy will be tackled frontally.
The truth of the matter is that we either get rid of the fuel subsidy or the fuel subsidy gets rid of the Nigerian nation. In 2022, we spent $10 billion subsidizing the ostentatious lifestyle of the upper class of the society, because you and I benefit 90% from the oil subsidy. The poor 40% of Nigerians benefit very little from the fuel subsidy. And we know the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. We'll get payouts opposition.
He also gives an insight into plans to unify the foreign exchange market.
The issue of oil subsidy is going to be promptly addressed. The earlier we do so, the better. The issue of multiple exchange rates, we need to collapse it into one. So these are two big elephants in the room. And as the days and weeks come by, we'll be unveiling our agenda.
It's just the first day, but Vice President Shettima is giving assurances that he will work harmoniously with President Tinubu to overcome the many challenges confronting the nation. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
President Bola Tinubu has started making tough decisions on key parameters that will shape his government right from inauguration. On the first day in office, the president held crucial meetings to navigate how he would implement these tough decisions. Kehinde Amodu again has the report.
From these first few hours, it is clear that there is so much work to be done. After separate meetings with the Group CEO of the NNPC Limited and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, any decision on fuel subsidy will lead to chain reactions across the country, as evident from the long queues at fueling stations nationwide. The appearance of these queues seem to have caught the attention of the President, but the NNPC helmsman is emphatic that fuel subsidy can no longer be sustained.
Fortunately, also by virtue of the provisions of the law and also the Appropriation Act 2023, it is no longer available for that funding. And we are very convinced today that the country can no longer fund this subsidy bill and they will not be able to pay NNPC. And therefore, we are pleased to note Mr. President's commitment to elimination of this subsidy because they can't afford it anymore. And we will take necessary steps to ensure that we recover our costs from the market.
But he is giving assurances that government will initiate measures to cushion the effects of the removal of subsidy.
And also being mindful of the fact that, a situation like this can lead to exploitation of customers, and we're also working with the regulator who is here with me to see how we can cap any such excessive management of greed.
Thirdly, I want to call upon all the marketing companies to open up their petrol stations and depots to sell to the public, because they will hear communication from NNPC, because NNPC currently has all the stock in the country. And NNPC will do their transfer price. And when you ask what is going to be the price, I cannot tell you exactly, because the market is deregulated. Therefore, it's going to be an open market based on the cost of delivery. So NNPC, of course, will advise all the marketing companies very soon to say this is their transfer price. And on the basis of that, they now will translate into what the pump price is going to be. So there's not going to be any cap per se, but it's going to be based on the cost of importation. And again, I repeat, ourselves and the FCCPC will ensure that the consumer is not taken advantage of.
The reality of what is on ground will set in the next few days, as President Tinubu is briefed by heads of key ministries, parastatals and agencies. The shocking truth On day one is that federal government is owing the NNPCL 2.8 trillion naira in fuel subsidy deficit, which it must pay back. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The House of Representatives has resolved to back President Bola Tinubu on the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit, popularly known as fuel. The Green Chamber saluted the courage and boldness displayed by President Tinubu to serve the country with honesty and integrity, while appealing to Nigerians to remain patient, resilient, and prayerful to enable the newly sworn-in president to deliver on his promises. Member representing Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency, Lagos State, Jimoh Olajide, moved the motion supporting the president's move at plenary on Tuesday. Olajide said he is convinced that the president plans to utilize subsidy funds realized to turn around the nation's education, health, infrastructure, agriculture, boost food security, and above all, secure lives and property. Lawmakers unanimously supported the motion through a voice vote called by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, at plenary.
I therefore move that this House note that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29, 2023 made a public pronouncement on fuel subsidy removal. Further notes that President Tinubu is a concerned senior citizen whose agenda is to favor the downtrodden for the purpose of humanity. Aware that there is no provision for fuel subsidy in the 2023 Appropriation Act. Further aware that the current 9th Assembly and the past administration had been giving it a legal backing. Convinced that further legislative actions in supporting Mr. President in delivering dividend of democracy will go a long way in enhancing development, because he asked for it, he campaigned for it, and is ready for the task ahead.
Reactions have continued to trail the announcement by President Bola Tinubu that fuel subsidy has ended. The president spoke shortly after taking oath of office at the Eagle Square, Abuja, as the 16th elected Nigerian president. In Bauchi State, residents are appealing to stakeholders in the oil sector to consider the plight of Nigerian masses before taking any action on the matter. Trust TV's Adamu Imam has details.
The issue of removing oil subsidy has been a tricky one since the commencement of the Fourth Republic. This is due to the likely strain it will initially have on the average Nigerian. Although its long-term effect are deemed positive, attempts to end the regime had always been opposed due to lack of concrete palliative measures to assuage the biting effect. With the presidential declaration at the inaugural ceremony on 29th of May, residents within Bauchi State Capital say it has resulted in the hike in price and closure of some filling stations. Nigerian masses don't even know where they're headed. The former president just handed over to President Tinubu, who just announced the removal of fuel subsidy, and now oil marketers have started closing filling stations. Today we witnessed a hike in the price of petrol. It is now sold for 360 naira per litre. We also observed delays on queues, while some even tampered with the adjustment in the petrol dispensing machine. It is unfortunate. I bought 20 litres 2 days ago at 5,100 naira, but today even 8,000 did not fill up the 20 litres gallon, and they will not agree to sell the product to me unless I added an additional 500 naira. Others lament that petrol stations are holding the commodity to the detriment of many Nigerians, while black marketers took advantage of the scarcity to make bricks business as usual.
There must be awareness on what the statement is meant for Nigerians. Not that we'll be rushing here and going here up and down, buying and keeping for ourselves. And secondly, we call on the authorities that are regulating these marketers, these fuel marketers and other related agencies that have concern over this thing, even the DSS and the SSS. Everybody that is stakeholder in this sector should come and see what is happening and should address it now, so that this is the only time they will address it.
You can see filling station available, more especially by government prices. But those days, I see a day before yesterday, you can see a fuel station is often available. But today we woke up, we see this thing happens, but we don't know.
They, however, appealed to the president to have a rethink on the issue and execute policies that will better the lives of all Nigerians. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Presidential Election Petition Court on Tuesday in Abuja admitted into evidence a United States of America District Court judgment which reportedly indicted Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and ordered his forfeiture of $460,000 in drug-related offenses. The certificate or the certified true copy of the judgment was tendered by a witness, Barrister Lawrence Nwakaiti, at the commencement of hearing of a petition filed by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, against the election of Tinubu. Led in evidence by Jibril Okutekpa, a senior advocate of Nigeria, the witness tendered the court's judgment as part of requests by Obi and Labour Party to get Tinubu's declaration as winner of the February 25, 2023 presidential election nullified. However, Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress announced that they have objections against admission of the judgment, but reserved the objections to final address stage. Meanwhile, the presiding justice of the court, Justice Haruna Simons Amani, has shifted further hearing in the petition till May 31.
The proceeding today commences with the tendering of documents we think we have in our possession that tends to suggest to us that of disqualification. The withdrawal from senatorial election of Senator Kassim, which was signed and filed with INEC on the 15th of July 2022, and the acceptance of his nomination, which was also filed and served with INEC on the 14th of July. So that documents are before the court. He accepted, from what we have seen, to be vice presidential candidate on the 14th of July 2022, while still a senatorial candidate for Borno Central constituency. And the both forms were filed with INEC. Those were the first set of documents that the tribunal or the court admitted. The second one is what we have, the certified true copy of the entirety of the record of proceedings from the District Court of Illinois in the United States of America, where $460,000 were forfeited in the proceedings that you will see that involves what appears to be narcotics, dishonest substances. So those were the documents we tendered through PW1. They were duly pleaded, we served them, they have it, and everyone has it.
The ancient city of Daura comes alive on Tuesday as the Emirates staged a colorful durbar to honor former President Muhammadu Buhari, who completed his tenure of office and handed over power to the new president, Bola Tinubu, on Monday. The Emirates appreciates his performance and contribution to the ancient city while at the helm of affairs. Abdullahi Yamadi tells us more.
Thousands of people trooped out to the ancient city to catch a glimpse of former President Muhammadu Buhari as he approached Kangiwa Square venue of this Durbar. Daura Emirates Emirate, known for its uniqueness in organizing Durbar, especially during special events such as Salah or other festivities, come alive again to welcome its own. Spectators were thrilled by the display of horsemanship and the traditional regalia adorned by traditional rulers and district heads. Of Daura and Katsina sat close to the former president just as new governor of Katsina and his deputy receiving homage from the district heads in Daura Emirate. This colorful traditional Durbar for the former president Muhammadu Buhari brings joy, happiness and much comfort to the Daura residents as visibly seen on their faces. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, justice for deceased OAU student. Just stay with us.
That's great. Good to see you.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a recap of some of our top stories. We told you that presidential inaugural speech triggers fuel queues. TUC cautions against unilateral decision on subsidy removal. You also heard that President Tinubu resumes work at Aso Rock Villa, receives briefings from Emefiele Kyari. Moving to more stories, the National Industrial Court has upheld the no work, no pay rule by the federal government in its dispute with the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The court held that the rule enforced by the federal government against members of ASU who went on strike last year is legal. In a judgment delivered by the president of the court, Justice Benedict Kanyip, the court held that it is within the right of the federal government to withhold salaries of workers who embark on industrial action. The court, however, held that it is a violation of university autonomy for the federal government to impose the integrated payroll and personnel information system platform on members of ASU who reserve the right to determine how their salaries should be paid. The federal government had dragged ASU before the National Industrial Court over the demand of the union for the payment of their salaries from February 14 to October 7 last year when the strike was called off. Senate Chief Whip Orji Uzor Kalu has admonished President Bola Tinubu to immediately concentrate on completing all abandoned projects in the country. Kalu, a former governor of Abia State, gave the admonition while speaking to journalists at the National Assembly on Tuesday in Abuja. He noted that research has shown that there are over 11,000 uncompleted projects scattered across the country. While noting that the completion of these projects will take the country out of debt, Kalu called on the new president to scrap the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and other government agencies that are no longer viable. Kalu, who reiterated that he is still in the race for the position of Senate President in the 10th National Assembly, also wants the new administration to do everything possible to check the lingering security challenges that has ravaged parts of Nigeria.
I would also like President Ahmed Tinubu to stamp on security, issue of security, and the people of Nigeria. And some of the ministries and parastatals are no longer viable. If I'm issue, something like Ministry of Niger Delta, some of those ministries are no longer viable to be ministries. We have NDDC, like we have the Northeast Development Commission, they have no ministry. So the Ministry of Niger Delta should be scrapped off and reposition the NDDC to report directly to the president, which is what is in the act. That in the act, there's no way they say NDDC will report to Ministry of Niger Delta. No, the answer is no. So they should allow the commission as a commission to be able to function purely as a commission. So I think I'm excited to see President Ahmed Bola Tinubu and all people of goodwill in Nigeria should be happy for Nigeria, should be happy for him, should be happy for his family. Those days of stealing public funds are gone. We are planning and ready to return this country to the Nigerian people because
the new governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu, assumed duty in office on Tuesday after his inauguration on Monday. Aliyu arrived at the government house at noon. Abubakar Imam reports that the symbolic handing over of the instruments of authority did not take place as neither the outgone governor, Aminu Tambuwal, nor any of his officials or of his government attended the ceremony. Aliyu vowed to review some of the policies of the former administration. While elaborating his 9-point agenda, Aliyu said he will give priority to security, health, and poverty eradication. The governor nullified all the recent appointments made by his predecessor, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. He also nullified the recent renaming of some academic institutions and other appointments related to their governing councils. His spokesman, Abubakar Bawa, on Tuesday announced dissolution of local government areas' sole administrators appointed by Tambuwal. Bawa explained that the appointment would be reviewed in due course in the public interest. President Bola Tinubu's journey from activism, legislation and governance to the Aso Rock Villa is said to be turbulent and yet smooth. In this report, residents of Lagos State in southwest Nigeria recall his many struggles and resilience that prepared him for the ultimate task of leading Nigeria. Take a look.
The inauguration of Bola Tinubu as the 16th President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria did not come overnight. Residents of Lagos, a state he governed for 8 years, say it was a result of planning, hard work, political networking, and investment in people over the years.
He has been confronted with many challenges of support. In fact, if I have to quote his wife, if I have to refer to what his wife said, that they have been bruised and that his family has been battered. So he surmounted it to the glory of God. Despite betrayals from his trusted allies, the man still forged ahead through courage. What I can just deduce from his travel is that he's a courageous man.
You can see he has the charisma, he has everything to become what it is today. And thank God he's the president of Nigeria as of today. You can see it on ground. When he was the governor of Lagos State, He has been the playmaker. He has been everything in what Lagos State is today.
While confirming his capacity and commitment to deliver on the mandate, other respondents say the new president requires the support of the citizens, especially the youths, to move Nigeria forward.
Iwaju is somebody that we've known that has really performed well in Lagos State. And during his tenure, Lagos was a very beautiful place that people were able to live and enjoy. And looking at him being the president of Nigeria now, the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria, we should expect him to do more. And all he needs is our support, especially the youth. We should support him. If we give him a support, we should give him the support that is needed. And the prayer that God should give him good health and sound mind. And we know with that, he's going to surely move Nigeria forward to a greater height.
He's one of the people I so much believe in Ashwadi. You know, when you want to be great in life, you face a lot of challenges. Before the election, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of propagandas, there's a lot of, what's it called, photoshopping videos and all that. Balablu, Bulaba. But with that, Ashwaju is our president today. And I'm very optimistic he's going to deliver.
As a new president hits the ground running with a top decision such as removal of nagging subsidy, draining the nation's resources, respondents urged him to promptly fix the economic challenges bedeviling the country.
The Osun State High Court in Osogbo has sentenced the popular businessman Ramon Adedoyin to death by hanging over the murder of a student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Timothy Adegoke. The Chief Judge of the state, Justice Adekbele Ojo, while delivering judgment on Tuesday, found Adedoyin guilty and convicted him. Hamid Oyegbade files in this report.
Late Timothy Adegoke lodged at Hilton Honors Hotel between 5th and 7th of November 2021, where he was sent to his early grave. He was murdered and his remains evacuated and dumped in a bush on Ede Road by some staff of the hotel. The owner of the hotel, Ramon Adedoyin, and his staff were arrested and prosecuted at the Osun State High Court in Osogbo. The Chief Judge of the state, Justice Adekbele Ojo, found Adedoyin guilty and sentenced him to death by hanging.
The first defendant is Dr. Raymond Adedoyin, and he has been convicted for conspiracy to commit murder and murder, among other counts preferred against him. The third defendant is Adeni Yaderogba. He was the manager of the hotel. He was the one that admitted that himself, Rahim Adedoyin, who is now at large, the fifth defendant, evacuated the dead body of the late Timothy Adegoke from the hotel, from room 305 where he was lodged, and evacuated it and dumped him at Ede Road. They both admitted and they were convicted for their various roles in the entire case. So the fifth defendant is Oyetunde Kazim. He was also a money manager as well in the same hotel. So the three of them, including the seventh defendant, have been convicted for conspiracy to commit murder and murder.
The range of the sentence?
For the conspiracy, they were convicted for 10 years imprisonment, and for some other offenses, they were convicted for life imprisonment. And the other one, the ultimate conviction was that they were convicted to death by hanging. Justice has been well served in this case, in the sense that the late Timothy Adegoke did not die in vain.
Yeah, in line with the provisions of the law, we will consult with our clients.
The relatives of the deceased expressed happiness with the judgment, while the convicts might proceed to the higher court until their rights of appeal is exhausted. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Mourners continue to troop the Abuja residence of Dar Communications PLC founder Raymond Dokpesi to pay their respects to the media icon who died on Monday. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki describes the death as devastating news, saying his contribution to the evolution of private broadcasting is unprecedented. Zainab Karaye reports.
Aduma Hill, which place hosted the Dar Communications Office and residents of the late Dopasi, continues to receive visitors from far and near who come to condole with the family and associates of the founder of the media outfit. Among early callers to the residents is Governor Godwin Obaseki, who expressed shock over the death, saying the deceased's contribution to the media industry can never be forgotten.
His foray into television also gave a platform to project Nigeria, not only locally, but globally. And beyond that, gave the impetus to others to follow his trend he has started, which was that you could have successful private sector participation in media, particularly in television in Nigeria. So he was a pace setter in all ramifications. He was a pace setter in the way he approached things of life.
Other mourners said that the demise of Raymond Dopasi is not just a loss to the media stations he owned, but also in the broadcasting media.
This is a man full of life. One man I can qualify as a detribalized Nigeria. It's with everybody, irrespective of religion, tribe, or where you come from. And I can tell you in one word, a forest has gone off. Not just 1 tree, it's a forest. Dopasi is an institution who a lot of interest groups in this country today will be having different consultation on his death. What I can say is I pray God Almighty to forgive him all his sins.
And Raymond, no doubt, has made impact and etched his name on the footprints of time as one that has brought about a revolution in the Nigerian media space.
A condolence register is open as the family plans burial arrangements. Zainab Karaye, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafor for business news.
Investors are already reacting to President Tinubu's pro-market policies, with the country's dollar bonds rallying. According to Bloomberg data, debt due in 2047 jumped 3.3% to 66.750 cents on the dollar by 10:10 a.m. in London. Bonds due in 2049 gained 2.9%, and those maturing in 2051 advanced 3.5%. Meanwhile, the Nigerian stock market on Tuesday closed on a positive note to mark the first trading day under the new government led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The all-share index grew by 5.22% to close at 55,738.35 points. Market capitalization hits 30.350 trillion naira at the close of trade, gaining 1.5 trillion naira in 1 day, up by 5.22% away from the previous close of 28.845 trillion naira. Market break closed positive, with 64 gainers against 12 losers. Aggregate volume of traded stocks closed at 1.078 billion units, valued at 15.799 billion naira in 9,916 deals. And finally, European stock slips on Tuesday, dented by uncertainty on whether Congress will clear a U.S. debt ceiling deal and avert a catastrophic default. The pan-European Stocks 600 index slipped 0.2%, with trading activity expected to pick up momentum as the US and the UK markets reopen after a long weekend. Among single stocks, Nestlé slipped 0.8% after the Swiss food group said it had hired Anna Mans, the finance chief at the London Stock Exchange Group, as its new chief financial officer. Unilever PLC dipped 0.6% after the consumer goods giant said chief financial officer Graham Pitlucky would leave by the end of May 2024. Shares of Aroundtown dropped nearly 2% to a record low after the German real estate firm published its first quarter results. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafor.
Now, away from Nigeria, at least 17 people have been killed by extremist rebels in eastern Congo's North Kivu province. Civilians were killed by fighters with the Allied Democratic Forces believed to be linked with the Islamic State group in the Bambuba Kisiki area in Beni territory on Monday. Conflict has been simmering for decades in eastern Congo, where more than 120 armed groups are fighting. Most are vying for land and control of mines with valuable minerals, while some groups are trying to protect their communities. According to the UN, since last year, April, ADF attacks have killed at least 370 civilians and several hundred people have been abducted, including a significant number of children. The group also extended its area of operations to Goma and into the neighboring Ituri province. Unidentified assailants killed 2 customs officers, a policeman and a civilian in an overnight attack on a security post in northern Cameroon, the mayor and 2 military sources said on Tuesday. The attack took place at the entrance to the town of Mora in Cameroon's far north region, about 30 kilometers from the border with Nigeria. One of the military sources who requested anonymity attributed it to the Islamist Boko Haram, which is waging war or waging an insurgency in the region. He also said that 1 soldier and 2 Boko Haram fighters were killed in a separate attack on Monday evening on a military post in the far north town of Zigagi. Mora was hit by several suicide bomb attacks in 2015 and 2016 by suspected militants from Boko Haram. Now in sports, Nigeria Rugby Football Federation is set to camp the senior men's national team, Black Stallions, in England ahead of the next month's Paris 2024 Olympic Games qualifiers in Mauritius. Nigeria is pitted against Ghana, Burundi and DR Congo, with the Black Stallions targeting top 3 finish to earn a move to the next phase of the series, which is the Africa Cup Sevens slated for Zimbabwe. Nigeria will open their campaign against Ghana before meeting Burundi and DR Congo in their last Group A match of the qualifiers. According to NRFF General Manager Aziz Ladikbo, the foreign-based players selected for the qualifiers would be joined by their home-based counterparts in the United Kingdom to begin preparations for the qualifiers. Still in sports, Juventus will pay a €718,000 fine as part of a settlement agreement with Italian football authorities over a case concerning payment of players' salaries. Now, Juventus were docked 10 points last week over a separate investigation into the club's past transfer dealings. The settlement means Juventus have accepted the 10-point penalty and will not receive a further points deduction. It brings an end to any ongoing cases involving the Turin club, as well as the overall fine for the club. The Italian Football Federation gave fines to several officials, including former Vice Chairman Pavel Nedved and ex-sporting director and managing director Fabio Paratici. The club's former president, Andrea Agnelli, whose appeal against a 2-year ban he received in January was upheld earlier this month, was not included in the latest deal and will have a separate hearing on 15 June. In a separate statement, Juventus said the agreement would allow the club to achieve a definitive result and overcome a state of tension and instability. And finally, the Miami Heat halted their Boston Celtics' remarkable fight back in Eastern Conference Finals, clinching the deciding match 103-84 to reach the NBA Finals. Jimmy Butler starred, scoring 28 points, 7 rebounds and 6 assists as the Heat, who led the 7-game series 3-0 before being pegged back to 3-3, reached this year's showpiece. The first 8 seeds to reach the finals since the New York Knicks in 1999, the Heat will play the Denver Nuggets in the best-of-7 finals. Game 1 will be played in Denver on Friday. Derek White's dramatic buzzer beater in Game 6 had tied the series, giving the Celtics hope of becoming the first side in NBA history to overturn a 3-0 deficit in a playoff final. Butler, 33, was named MVP of the series after averaging 24.7 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thank you for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.